ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. On behalf of Masjid, I'd like to welcome everyone who has attended here this evening for this beneficial talk, inshallah ta'ala. I'd like to also apologize for the delay. We never anticipated there would be this many people, alhamdulillah. Just a brief introduction to who the speaker will be. It's Brother Ustad Waseem Khan. Many of us will know him from the various khutbah he has given in this masjid. But just to let you know a bit more about him, inshallah, he holds a formal educational background and he's also held the position of head teacher at the school at Green Lane Masjid between the years 2006 and 2013. He's also served in the Islamic education sector as an educational consultant, helping Islamic schools excel. Currently, he's the CEO of Ar-Rahman Trust and has been so for 4 years. Ustad Waseem Khan, he holds a BA Honours in English and History alongside a Master's degree in Education from the University of Warwick. He's currently completing a Master's in Philanthropy at the University of Kent. Ustad Waseem Khan, he continuously benefits, he benefits from scholars from the UK and also from Pakistan, where he studies various Islamic sciences. And in his spare time, he inspires, he works in inspiring and motivating people, and especially the youth, towards the teachings of Islam. He regularly delivers khutbah in various masajid around the UK and various talks as well, and university campuses across the UK. So without further ado, I'd like to invite to the stage Ustad Waseem Khan.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Wallahi, I want to thank the brothers here at Masjid At-Taqwa for facilitating a very important topic. And as you can tell from the sheer, subhanAllah, turnout, that this is a very important topic that affects each and every one of us sitting here. Inshallah, the topic itself will be covered over 50 minutes. I'm going to try and make it very visual, interacting, engaging for you all. Hence, you can see the PowerPoint slides. And there's a lot of research that's gone into this. So it's not just hearsay. There are some scientific facts which back up the effects of social media addiction, smartphone addiction. And I want to begin this talk here by stating one thing quite clearly. We do this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even if there's one person here who leaves today's gathering after watching the presentation and they make a concerted effort to change and minimize the amount of time they spend on social media because it's actually detrimental to them psychologically, emotionally, from a productivity level, even if it's one person, alhamdulillah, I'm happy. Because this has an enormous influence on our lives when it comes to, from a negative perspective. So if there's one person who benefits, alhamdulillah. I want to begin by asking you all a question. And you don't have to answer the question. I want you to introspect. I want you to examine your own thoughts and your own feelings when I ask you this question. And if I was to ask you that if I requested that each and every one of you took out your mobile phones and you gave it to the person sitting next to you for 5-10 minutes, and vice versa, the person sitting next to you gives you their phone, how would that make you feel? Just think. And I can just tell from some of your reactions, your faces, you look horrified, you look shocked. just departing from a 5-6-inch device is enough to make us feel really shocked and dejected. Oh my God, what's going on here? And this is the reality of the situation, that these small devices have an enormous influence on our lives. So let's look at what's going to be covered. I'm going to cover this from a scientific perspective as well as an Islamic perspective, and then inshallah towards the end some solutions. So we look at the psychological impact. What's taking place inside our brains when we are engaging and interacting? What about the neuroscience? What about these things, the chemistry, the dopamine, that the surge of dopamine that gets us addicted? We'll talk about that a bit more as well. We'll talk about narcissism and egoism. This is a platform that encourages narcissism, where people are looking for praise, looking for recognition. And then we'll also look at instant gratification, wanting something straight away so that you feel good. There's no deferred gratification, which means you wait for a longer period of time, but we want things now, straight away. And it's linked to the way these smartphones have been designed. We'll look at it from an Islamic perspective. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? What did the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say? What about productivity? Where are we going in life? And finally, some solutions. Because if I don't give you solutions, you're going to leave this place depressed. When you see the reality of the situation, and many of you may relate to this as well, you're going to feel depressed. So I have to give you some practical solutions. So I always begin this presentation with the positives of smartphones, because I know there's going to be a smart aleck here at the end when we have Q&A saying, yeah brother, but you know, but about the positives. Yes, so let's get the first slide out of the way. Yes, these gadgets are great. If you are doing Quran, you have a teacher here in the Masjid, and you're doing 2 or 3 hours a day, and then to supplement your learning in the evening, in the morning, you can download Quran and you can go over whatever you've been reading, you can go through the lines, and then you can read to your teacher. You can download a hadith. You can download Islamic knowledge. You can download worldly knowledge. If I was to ask people here, what's the capital of China, you know, different places across the world, easily you can Google this and you can have access to worldly knowledge. You can even do online banking. You don't have to go all the way to Halifax, Barclays, TSB and Europe. You can make transactions using your phone. You can even do online shopping. That's why the high street is being affected now. People don't want to shop, they can just do things here. You can buy a jacket, a coat, whatever. If it doesn't fit, you give it back to the courier the next day. That's done, khalas. You don't have to go physically. And you can even do online business. You can sell on Amazon, eBay, Gumtree, wherever, Shpock. You can sell things without leaving your houses or leaving to go out on a wet, cold, you know, windy day. You can do it from home. But the question I want to ask you is, how many of us are actually using smartphones for this purpose? And according to statistics, research conducted by Statista, which gathers information on different topics thoroughly, what we actually use smartphones for is what you see on the screen. October 2018, the most popular sites where you had monthly active users, we had Facebook as the first one. 2.23 billion monthly active users immersed in their phones across the world. Africa, Asia, Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, China, Japan, people immersed in their phones on a monthly basis, 2.23 billion. YouTube, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, Twitter. Poor old Snapchat doesn't even make it on the list, because that's down to 500 million, because there's various reasons for this, because some people are not accustomed to Snapchat in certain developing parts of the world. However, Facebook, that's more than the Muslim population across the globe. 1.8 billion Muslims approximately, yet we have 2.23 billion who are stuck on their phones. 6 hours a day people spend on their phones. Wasting their time watching others, their lives go by. Seeing what's hot, what's not. They've even changed the metric. They don't say we scroll for hours anymore. They say we scroll for miles. You've been scrolling from here to Scotland and back. That's how much time we spend on social media, and you can see that this trend is now exposing some worrying results. The first one is what? The signs of social media addiction. 6 signs. Let's see if we can relate to this. The first one is the constant urge to check your phone every 10-15 minutes, even though you know that you're not waiting for a call. You haven't dropped your wife off at the hospital and she said, you know, after my appointment I'll call you, and you're waiting, okay, she's gonna... There's nothing, but you have a desire to check your phones every 15 minutes. That's a sign of social media addiction. The second, when there's no Wi-Fi, it's the end of the world. It's shocking. Well, like people who even go for Hajj, and they are in the state of ihram, and they arrive from the miqat, they have the ihram on, they arrive Jeddah, they're doing the talbiyah, labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, and they arrive at the hotel to give and to put in their suitcases. The first thing people are queuing up for, before they go to the haram, to perform the rites of Umrah, the first thing people are queuing up, running for, because they're going mad, is Wi-Fi. They need Wi-Fi. They're in the state of ihram, and they need Wi-Fi because they are addicted to social media. The third is you have to announce every hour on all your multiple social media platforms what you're doing. Now I'm here, an hour later I'm here, 2 hours later I'm doing this, first thing in the morning I'm doing this. You have to announce. That's another sign. You have to tell the whole world. The fourth is you wake up in the night to check your phone. In fact, the phone is the last thing you put under your pillow before you go to sleep. And it's the first thing you pull out from under your pillow when you wake up. In fact, on some occasions, halfway in the night when your sleep is disturbed, the first thing you do is you look for the phone, you pull it out and you start scrolling. It's a sign of social media addiction. The fifth one is a break of trust, aman, that you are secretly spending 20 minutes here, 5 minutes here, in an 8-hour shift, 6-hour shift, you spend taqriban 1 hour, if you tally it all up, secretly going on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp, responding messages. That's a break of trust. And the last one is you anxiously wait to see how many likes you get. So whenever you upload anything, it affects your self-esteem and your confidence. So you're waiting to see how many likes you get, and if the picture isn't really performing well based on whatever, it's a post or it's a picture, it causes real anxieties. You get really anxious because you didn't get the gratification that you desired. Makes you feel upset, makes you feel downtrodden. So this is one of the signs. How does it affect us from an academic perspective, those of you who are at universities? Some research was done at Harrisburg University in 2010, where in America, where students were told, look, just for 1 week, give up social media and see how you feel when you come to lectures. And they felt less stressed and they felt more attentive when it came to coursework. In fact, the survey stated that 25% of students, they actually reported better concentration and they actually enjoyed the lectures. They found them more interesting, stimulating. Their focus was there. So I'm asking, 2018, those of you who are in the lectures, the teacher, professor speaking, we're just scrolling away, how much are we taking in? How much are we really learning? According to some other research, when you are actually doing some work, you're in the zone, you're writing an email, you're reading something, you're forging a response, you're getting ready to, you know, the sentences, the grammar's all there, and then you can't help yourself, you want to just check the phone. The research states it takes you 20 minutes just to recalibrate the brain. Once you've gone on Facebook, Twitter, just to check what's going on, to recalibrate your brain where you were, the train of thought, the focus that you were at. Imagine, how many times do we do this at work? That we're in the zone, we're writing the report, and then all of a sudden, we can't resist, we check the phones, and then we were like, where was I? I can't remember where I was. We sabotage ourselves. And this is one of the ways that social media is impacting us. Let us look at it from a psychological perspective. 2014, in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology, 18 to 24-year-old university students, the top 3 diagnoses was linked to what? Social media use. These were depression, anxiety, and stress. We're not talking about depression and anxiety because of student fees. Where are we going to get the money from? We're not talking about depression and stress and anxiety because of food. I'm trying hard to make ends meet. I'm really budgeting. I haven't got money for the next meal. We're talking about going on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, giving you real depression, anxiety, and stress. And wallahi, it makes me wonder what's going to happen to the next generation of doctors, accountants, opticians, dentists, lawyers, teachers who come out of this system if they already are mentally scarred because of this. They have essays to do, they have coursework to do because they can't navigate properly, they can't do things productively, they're always on Facebook and social media. It gives them stress, anxiety, depression. Then how are we going to be functioning as a society in 20, 30 years' time? We'll be walking around like zombies. Wallahi, this is the reality. This is what's happening. We have to take 300 pictures to get the perfect selfie. Because we're not happy with the way Allah has made us. We want to conform to the way society perceives us to be. How society wants us to be. Whatever's hot, we want to follow this, giving us real anxieties. We even sometimes demonstrate a false lifestyle to try and project to the masses how great we are. For example, there's an individual who's not working, and his wife is always saying, please go out and get a job because we have a family, we have bills, we have all this. And he's not bothered, he's always immersed in social media on Facebook. So what he does, he goes to his local gym, £30, £40 a month membership, and he sits in the hot tub, the jacuzzi, he takes a picture of him, and then he puts a caption on, living the high life, because people don't know his reality. And he uploads it and people are saying, MashaAllah brother, great stuff, you're living the life. And he's liking this and he's like getting that dopamine rush. And he goes home and his wife is saying, when are you going to get a job? He likes the interaction outside, but the reality is, internally, his life is nothing. And this is what we try and do. So we get the likes, the comments, the shares. We want to project something, where in reality, we are the opposite. I'm going to take you on a case study. It's going to make this interesting. So we're going to follow the day in the life of a smartphone addict. I've given the pseudonym SA because I could have called this person Waseem, Ahmed, Muhammad, Khadija, and maybe there are people sitting in the audience who are called that. They would say, oh, that's you, and they would have been giggling. So I said, let's call it generically smartphone addict, SA. And he wakes up in the morning, and the first thing he or she does, let's say it's a female as well, could be, is he pulls out the smartphone under his pillow. Even though he's been on the smartphone till 1 o'clock, his eyes are bloodshot red, and he's going through all the notifications, or she is, and she's checking everything, and then he puts up an inspirational quote. You can get these 10 to a dozen. Go out there and the day is yours. People think he's a go-getter, he's an early bird. He's lying in bed in his pajamas on, and he puts out a quote, and he's waiting for interaction. Oh, Muhammad's liked it, and he's getting that dopamine fix. He does all that whilst he's still in his pajamas, wasting his time, and his children, they go to school without seeing daddy. Now, I don't need domestic sympathy. I don't want to say, I told you so. I don't want the men saying this to the women, women to the men. Happens both ways. But generally, because we're too preoccupied on the phone, we miss these great moments with our children. So this is the smartphone addict. So what's getting him hooked? Why are we hooked? It's due to a neurotransmitter or a chemical in the brain called what? Dopamine. Very important that you understand what dopamine is, especially youngsters, because they're going to throw this and they're going to trigger the dopamine levels in your brain until you get old. This is the way they've done things. Sean Parker, the 38-year-old founding president of Facebook, he admitted back in 2005 that the whole concept of Facebook isn't to unite us, it's to distract us. And the way they do this is they play on your psychology. How? He said that the way it's designed is whenever you upload something and someone likes or comments on a post or a photograph, we give you a little dopamine hit. You get a hit, you get a like, you feel good, a feeling of euphoria, a feeling of ecstasy, a feeling of being valued, instant gratification. And that's exactly how they've done this. They did it before with the gambling machines back in the 90s and early 2000s, where they had all these colours and the sounds. You put a pound in, you know, you got a chance of winning the jackpot, 30, 40 pounds. Even if you did win the jackpot, the sounds, the money coming out, clunk, 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 it all affected the dopamine level, which made the person hooked. Even if he won the money, he would keep, because it was to do with his reward system, feeling valued, feeling good, the pleasure. That's exactly what they've done. For every like or share that we get, dopamine is pumped around the brain. You feel good. And slowly over time, we are hardwired in our brains. Neural pathways are formed, and you want that instant gratification. That becomes the purpose. You don't want to enjoy whatever's happening here. You want to look at your phone all the time. You want to see who's liked, who's shared, because it makes you feel good. We become addicted. So what are neural pathways? Subhanallah. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Allah has made the human in the best form. Neural pathways are kind of behavioral patterns that ingrain themselves into your brain based on the amount of time you spend doing a certain thing. It becomes second nature. For example, let's say outside you have a piece of grass, a field of grass. Nobody walks on that. That's how your brain is normally, some parts dormant. People start walking on that grass back and forth. After a week or so, you have a path that's developed. Same as your brain. You have nothing in certain parts. If you start a certain activity, you start going to the gym. First few weeks are difficult. The brain is saying, no, I can't do this, it's difficult. But then the neural pathways are formed and you become addicted. You have to go. The day you don't go to the gym, you feel, I don't feel right. Same as when you wake up in the morning, you hit the alarm button. You keep doing this for a week, your neural pathways are formed. You'll keep going back to sleep. That's why they say put your alarm in the next room. Because you have to get up from your bed, you have to go to the next room, you have to switch it off, and then you go downstairs. You do this for a week or two, you will never snooze the alarm again, because the neural pathways have been created. A pattern is developed in your brain. So this is exactly what they do. They tap into this, giving you that dopamine hit. Let's focus on the kids here, the gamers, the youngsters. They use these things to help control the brain's reward and pleasure centers. So this is how the games have been created. That they focus on the dopamine levels, which trigger the reward and pleasure centers. Every time you're building up points, you're getting this, you're getting that, you're feeling good, you're addicted. How many times has your mother said, you know, come on, the food's getting cold? He said, no, I'll be there, I'm just 5 more minutes. You must say, okay, fine. 15 minutes you're still there because the dopamine has hooked you in, and your mother comes in politely saying, come on, the food's gone cold, and you bang the control and say, it's not fair. Why? Because these are the neurological changes that are taking place. This is sometimes we become violent. Sometimes we become addicted so much that we don't care what's happening. We are addicted. So dopamine is something that really activates the brain's pleasure circuits. And video games, like I've told you, they are deliberately designed around taking advantage of our dopamine levels. So I hope our youngsters know this, because we are designed, these games are being designed to addict you. Anyone who's addicted and who knows that when they want to correct a bad habit, how difficult it is. It's difficult anyway. If somebody's an alcohol addict, it's difficult. A drug addict, it's difficult. Gambling. But imagine these things that are in your palms of your hands every day and on the screens. They are logging into this on a daily basis. That's how they've been designed, to focus in on your dopamine levels. So you feel good. You feel that these dopamine levels are making you feel good, and basically you're addicted. Let's focus on one game. Fortnite. See some kids get excited when I say Fortnite. Don't worry, you're not going to get to play on Fortnite. We're just going to show you the science behind Fortnite. 125 million global users. Cuts across the spectrum. We're talking about youngsters, teenagers, adults. 40 million monthly players. And look at the way they created this. They got around a table and said, how are we going to focus on the dopamine levels? How are we going to trap these youngsters? So, they focus on certain things. I just highlighted 3. First is they give you autonomy, the freedom of choice. You as a player, you have the freedom of choosing the weapons, the character, the strategy, the appearance. You want to be a male, female, you want to wear combat, you want to have this. You have the choice. And all these things allow the person to feel in charge. He's in charge. She's in charge. That's one way they got you hooked in, because that triggers your dopamine. Second, you have global interaction. You can be playing with somebody across the world. You can be playing with people who are from the same school as you. He's one character, you're one character. You're all gathered in this small area. It's about 3 or 4 miles where you're going around shooting, picking up rewards. So it focuses on this interaction with others, and it triggers your dopamine, because you can go back to school on Monday and say, wow, Muhammad, did you see the way I was shooting that guy? Yeah. It gives you some conversation, something to talk about how great your skills are. Also, when you shoot and kill somebody, it makes you feel good that you've eliminated somebody and you are now progressing to the status. And also, when they give you the reward, so when you break a box, you get a machine gun, or you get some points. Every time you go and you get these things, it triggers your dopamine levels. You're more happy, you're pumped up more. Battle pass, all these things. So this is how they design these things to get you hooked. And subhanallah, as a result of this, the World Health Organization is saying, and they have classified gaming disorder as a mental health condition. Subhanallah. It's actually a mental health condition. This is the World Health Organization. They say people are spending, or there are some certain stories, 10 to 15 hours a day. Perhaps more so in the holidays when the kids are off. Addicted. Their brain is becoming vegetated. No productivity, and they are stuck in the games. Why? Dopamine. Another thing that is a direct consequence is the things that we take in. It alters the way your brain is, and you begin to perceive the outside world in a different way. One is through violence. 24-year-old Tristan, in 2011 from Netherlands, he killed 6 people. And he wounded 17 people. And when they interrogated him, what was the reason? They found that he played a lot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. That was back in 2011. Now the games are more realistic. That's why we see youngsters, they're stabbing and killings and all this, because this is what it glamorizes in games nowadays. And this is exactly what happens. This is exactly how they have us youngsters. So these 2 or 3 slides were for the youngsters to understand dopamine. So the question is, can we resist this thing about wanting something straight away, instant gratification, or waiting and working hard and saying, you know what, I know when I go on the games for 6 hours, I could be using that energy and mental capacity on something beneficial. Do we have that choice, or are we unable to resist? Well, some research was done in 1960 by Walter Mitchell. He's pronounced Mitchell, but it's spelled Mitchell. And he wanted to understand human behavior with youngsters. That are youngsters able to control themselves when they are presented with something, knowing that they will get double the reward if they can resist for 20 minutes. How? It's called the marshmallow theory. They gathered 50 participants, they took them to a research center, they put them in separate rooms. Each room there was a hidden camera, and they said to each of the participants, the researcher, look, here's a marshmallow, it's a sweet. It's yours, you can have it. But we're going to leave the room for 20 minutes. When we come back, if we see that the sweet is still there, you will get 2 sweets. If you can control yourself and resist, instead of instant gratification, you want deferred gratification, then you get 2. That was the challenge. SubhanAllah, look at the results. The first group, they didn't even wait for the researcher to leave. As soon as he turned his back, they picked up the sweet and they gobbled it up. It was too tempting, too irresistible. They wanted the instant gratification, even though they knew that later on they would get double, but they couldn't control themselves. The second group of children, they tried to be clever. They didn't realize there were hidden cameras. They waited 10 minutes. Then when they thought, nothing's happening, they picked up the sweet and they licked it. The sugar rush. Lick, put it back. That tasted nice. Just gotta wait 10 more minutes and I get 2. They licked it, put it back. The third group, subhanallah, and they only made up about 10 participants or 8. They were categorized into 2 groups. 4 of them, they picked up the sweet as soon as the researcher went, and they put it away from where they could not see it. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't want this temptation, I don't want to look at it, I'll put it there, and I just wait patiently 20 minutes. SubhanAllah, the second 4, they didn't even bother picking it up. They just turned away from the sweet. They just turned away, closed their eyes, and they waited for 20 minutes. And obviously they got 2 sweets. Now the researchers wanted to follow these participants for 30 years to see how their choice in life impacted and affected them in the future. The first group, who couldn't resist, couldn't control themselves, wanted it now, they found that they did really bad in school. They didn't even go to college or university. They were in and out of school. They were in and out of relationships. They were friends here, no friend here, fighting all the time. They were in and out of jobs. No proper career. That was the first group. The second group, who tried to be a bit clever, they found they did really well in life initially, but towards the end they lost a lot of money or something. Maybe it was that scam, maybe it was that inherent gambling nature. Nobody knows. Let's do a quick VAT scam. We've been getting away with it for so long. They got caught and they lost. They took some hits in life. That's what they said. The successful group was the third group, who didn't want instant gratification. They wanted to wait. They wanted to work hard. They didn't want it straight away. They applied that willpower, that train of thought into everything, and they did really well in school. They went to university, they had good careers, good jobs, they had good relationships, they had good set of friends. They did really well. This is a concept that's even given to us, mentioned so many times in Islam. Allah says, وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. The akhirah is better for you. Relax, calm down, don't resist. Resist the temptations. Don't go for those things that I have prohibited. Have a vision in life. Have a purpose. We are falling flat, running after the dunya, even though it's detrimental. In the same manner, we have to show restraint, and that applies same to the time you spend on social media or smartphones. 6 hours a day, do we really want that instant gratification? Let's go back to Mr. Smartphone Addict. Eventually comes out of his bed, he goes downstairs, he's snacking on his breakfast, but he doesn't enjoy breakfast like we do. Breakfast, toast, bread, eggs, complimenting the wife, mashallah, you make good eggs, good toast, good whatever. She said, why don't you do it? And then but he doesn't enjoy. He's like eating like this. Eating, checking one account, Instagram, Twitter. 30 minutes he spends eating his breakfast, and at the same time going through this whilst his wife is there, he doesn't even talk to her. Or if the wife is doing it, she's not talking to the husband. Then he goes to work. That's how he leaves his house. So how is it affecting us as a community, relationships? Let's have a look. Look at the first picture. Do you mind if I strap your phone to my forehead so I can pretend you're looking at me when I talk? That's the wife saying it to the husband, and it could be the other way around. That's the wife's on the phone all the time, the husband saying, oh, look at me, I'm talking to you, and I'll wait there, let me just check. This is what's happening. Even in restaurants, they have signs now saying, please leave your phones at home or put them on silent. We used to enjoy as restaurant owners, as soon as we came into a restaurant, we used to enjoy the hustle, the bustle, the talking, the laughter. Now we see people chomping on food. He's just sitting here looking. He's sitting over there looking at his phone. He's sitting here quiet looking at his phone. She's quiet. Where's the atmosphere gone? This is what they're saying. We've lost the art of communication. Everybody's in their phones. The second picture, the lady over there, she's holding tight a pillow. Wonder why? Again, research states that the more we're on Facebook or Snapchat or social media, we have certain emotional changes that are taking place inside us. She's looking at her friend, let's make a name of Nadia or whatever, and she's showing pictures. I'm just standing at the Eiffel Tower now, I'm in Pakistan now, I'm in America now, and she's looking at these pictures saying, yeah, I'm stuck in Leicester all the time. What kind of life do I have? She's just going everywhere in the world, showcasing a certain lifestyle, and look at me. So she begins to feel insecure about herself. She begins to feel there's no confidence. It's causing envy, it's causing anxiety. And this is real, I'm not making this up, there's research that's gone into this. The third picture, the bottom one, is the man is trying to go to sleep, he can't go to sleep. How? Why? Because again, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us, when it gets dark, that's why in the winter, you all feel tired at 6, 7 o'clock. In the summer, you don't feel tired at 6, 7 because it gets dark. And there's a natural chemical called melatonin. And that increases getting you ready to go to sleep. What does this phone do? It suppresses the level of melatonin. As soon as you go on, the light is emitted. Even though you're ready for bed, you're in your pajamas, but because you're on the phone, your brain cannot switch off. And you're tossing and turning, and then eventually 2 hours later, you have a disturbed night of sleep. You don't have a proper, deep, rapid eye movement, quality sleep. You get up the next day, you're fresh. You have a disturbed sleep. Your brain is processing information, what you saw, what you wrote. What did he mean by that WhatsApp message? What did she mean by that? So your brain doesn't switch off. So even you're trying to sleep and you've switched the phone off, your brain is still trying to process the dialogue or whatever it saw. Again, it's impacting us and we feel groggy in the morning. We feel unproductive in the morning. Another research done in Sweden, in fact it was Sweden's largest Facebook study in 2012. They stated, or the findings of the research were, that the more you're on Facebook, remember this is the icon of Facebook, likes, yeah? The lower self-esteem you have. The more, this was 2012, that the more you are on Facebook, scrolling away like mad, watching the lives of people, timeline, the lower your self-esteem will be. And this person here at the end, he's depressed. He's thinking, everything's over, sleeping patterns are bad. He can't focus at work properly. All these things have led to what? Depression. And this is what's happening to us on a daily basis. They will build up and they lead to depression. Another thing we want to talk about is narcissism. Narcissism is when you showcase everything so that people say, MashaAllah, you're a great guy. Oh, you're the next best thing since sliced bread. So what does the smartphone addict do? He's going to work. He sees somebody who's broke down or is a beggar on the street. He gives them or helps them. And then instead of saying, okay, may Allah reward me, thank you. He says, hang on a minute. Just don't go yet. Do you mind if I take a picture? Oh. The guy has just had some assistance and help. He's not going to decline. Say, okay, sure. No problem. He takes a picture and then he's there writing a post, getting all the paragraph sentences right. Then he uploads it. Today I was driving, I helped somebody out. You know, who knows, we could be in assistance. It's always good to help out, blah, blah. And then he's waiting for that engagement. Oh, Brother Waseem, you're such a great guy for helping people out. If there were more people like you in the world, that live would be a greater place. His dopamine is being hit, he's loving it, he's waiting for that interaction. In fact, he spends most of his day preoccupied looking for likes and comments and shares that he will get, because people do that now. We feed the narcissist. We don't say, do this for the sake of Allah. They want to show, hey, wifey, can you just wake up at 2 o'clock here? I'm going to go for tahajjud. Take a picture of me. I'm just making tahajjud. MashaAllah, brother, you're such a great guy. And we get the like and it's like, you know, you feel, you walk into the masjid with your chest sticking out. MashaAllah, I'm the next saint. You know, the only thing missing is a halo. That's what people have done. Riyah. It's the platform for showcasing and expecting rewards. And this is something that we want. We want the community to say, oh, you're such a great guy. So this is exactly what social media does. It's a platform. Self-esteem, self-importance, egoism, I'm so great. You know, you want that. Because again, remember, it's linked to that dopamine. If there's no dopamine, people wouldn't bother. That's, I'm getting on. But they like that interaction and they want to showcase themselves more. They want to listen to me, like me, hire me, watch me, look at me, agree with me, accept me. That's the platform for narcissism. Their overinflated egoism is where they think they are special and they promote themselves all the time. And you get this all the time. People who are telling you about their lives, how great there is. You know, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Your actions will be judged by your intentions. And just goes to show how we are just showcasing to the world every little thing we do so that we get that feedback. And there's some more research, I'm not really going to go too much into this, we're coming towards the end of the science bit, is that it shows that the signature trait of narcissists is that they have found the perfect platform, even in the charity sector. I'm involved in the charity sector. And people who know me for some time, when I was head teacher at Green Lane Masjid, I've had a Facebook account for 6-7 years just to see what the fuss was about. I was dormant. You never found me on Facebook. I'm not saying don't go on these platforms, but there was no need for me to go on Facebook because Green Lane Masjid, it's a self-promoting machine itself. 600,000-700,000 followers, they have a good dedicated department. It didn't need me to take pictures and etc. When I came to Ar-Rahmah Trust, very small charity, no branding, no presence, so I had to start branding the charity, showing on Facebook, create a presence, and that's all I have, a Facebook. And people are saying, oh, what are you doing? I should be on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. I can't do this. And whenever you look at me, and I tell you this wholeheartedly, Allah is my witness, if I have to go on a field distribution and I have to give, that picture of me giving is not a true reflection of me. Me giving to the orphans, the poor, that's not me. That's part of my job. Because if we don't show you where your money is going, you will not donate to us. But people live off that, Brother Waseem, you're such a great guy helping. And we're like, yes, yes, and we don't want. No, if you want to know how good I am, ask my wife and my kids. When Daddy Waseem comes in the house, how can Waseem walk through? Where's the tea? Where's the food? They'll tell you how great a person is. Don't ask society. And that's what we've done. We want to portray a certain lifestyle outside, whereas our family are cringing. Yeah, you're making this, but we know what you like. But we like the interaction, we like the validation. And also, deep down, the social media narcissist, he's very insecure. This is what research also states. Because sometimes you don't give them the likes and comments, you'll see inconsistency in the patterns of the way they post things. For example, on one hand they'll say, Allah has blessed me, Alhamdulillah, MashaAllah, you know, and he's getting all the, yes brother, keep going, MashaAllah. And then sometimes when he doesn't get the engagement from people who he wants engagement from, his friends don't have a chance to see the post, then he feels insecure, then he uses Mr. Scarface, Al Pacino, for these memes that are created. Haters will hate, jealous people out there. And you're thinking, yeah, what's going on internally in this guy's brain? On one hand, he's so confident, saying, you know, life is great, I can't thank Allah enough. Then on the other hand, he's venting some insecurities and some anxieties because he's not getting that interaction. It's exactly what you get. You'll see on WhatsApp profile pictures, you'll see on statuses, you'll see on all this. This is the insecurity of the person. He's beginning to build up resentment, he's beginning to get angry, he's beginning to show this. And also Nicholas Carr, some research that was done about the more we see of a person, do we like them more? No. The more a person is showing you their life, we like them less. We say, yeah, oh my God, I don't want to see this guy. Every time, look at my car, look at my house, look at my this, look at my this, look at my job, look at my dawah, look at my this. People are like, that's what happens. So what do? You don't feed the narcissist. You don't promote them. You don't share them. You don't like. You don't engage. MashaAllah, I'm keeping my 6 fast of Shawwal. MashaAllah. So don't. The world doesn't need to know you're keeping those optional fasts. But he wants that engagement because dopamine, right? Remember dopamine? He wants to feel good about himself. He's glued to the phone. So don't show anybody any admiration. Yes, you can make dua for them behind their back, Ya Allah. But show them this, you know that they want more and they'll be hooked. And we conclude the science part with Mr. Smartphone Addict, who comes home now after a long day of work, which wasn't productive, because he kept looking at his phone and he was doing 10 minutes work and then he kept going on his phone, and we know what happens to the brain. It becomes distracted, you can't do this. And then what does he do? He opens the door, mashallah, bete, bachiyan, come here, daughters, sons, picks them up, holds them for 10 minutes, how are you doing? And after 10 minutes, can you go to the other room please? I want to go on my phone. That's what happens. He can't, or she can't switch off. It's a perpetual cycle, it's a loop. They keep going round and round, then he begins his next day like this. In fact, he begins his night like this, you know, under the pillow, watching, sleep, wakes up in the morning, that's the day in the life of the smartphone addict. Guys, we need to ask ourselves this question. 6 hours a day, taqriban, some 4, some 6, 6 hours a day. Where are we going in life? This is exactly why these things have been created, to make you forget your purpose and the akhirah. اقترب للناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون. Allah says the day of reckoning is getting closer, the day of judgment is getting closer and closer, but mankind is ghafil, they're heedless, they're preoccupied. They don't care, am I going to be held accountable for my deeds and my sins? No, I'm just going to immerse myself in this. I'm not going to harvest for the akhirah. I'm not going to do good deeds and be a good person. I don't think I'm going to be raised up. Let me enjoy the here and the now. Are we really being productive? Surah Al-Asr. We all know this surah. Wal-Asr. Allah swears by time. This is how important time is. We want to kill time. Bro, let's go outside. Let's kill a bit of time. Allah swears by time. Inna al-insana lafi khusr. Man is in a state of loss. Every hour, minute, second that passes by, me and you are in a state of perpetual loss. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Unless you have 4 characteristics. Those who believe, they do righteous deeds, they call each other towards the truth, and they bear it with patience. Meaning you're proactive in the deen. Again, how does this help us? It's almost as though we want to immerse ourselves in the phones to forget about the akhirah. It's not going to happen. We're deluded. Imam Shafi rahimahullah, he said, this surah, Al-Asr, children know this surah. If only this one surah was revealed, not the whole Quran, not the 30 ajza of the Quran, just one surah, just to give you a roadmap, an indication of what life is about, where are you going in life, this surah would have been enough. That every second and minute that passes by, we are lost. Unless we are productive in doing certain things that will benefit us in the akhirah. Ibn Kathir rahimahullah, he said this surah here is a warning for the mu'min, the believers. Don't waste time. Don't waste time. Subhanallah, you have great scholars. You have Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah, who says, O son of Adam, you are nothing but a number of days. That's all we are. We are nothing but a number of days. Whenever each day passes, a part of us also passes as well. That's all we are. We are only a number of days. Each day that passes, a part of us is also passing. And in another narration he said that the world is 3 days. Yesterday, it's gone. It's packaged, it's sealed, it's gone forth for the day of judgment. You will see, you can't go back. Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox fans or whatever. You can't go into these machines and go Doctor Who back. No, whatever you've done in the previous, yesterday's gone. You can't bring it back. And the future, tomorrow, you don't know what's going to happen. So the past is gone. Future, you don't know. Tomorrow we could walk out of here, cardiac arrest. God, we try to resuscitate him, we try to help him, he's dead. Tomorrow or tomorrow morning. We don't know what the future is, but today, he said, today is your day, live for it, do what you can. Tomorrow you don't know what the future holds, yesterday you can't bring it back, today is the day. Live for the here and the now. And again, we have to ask ourselves this question, 5-6 hours a day, how is that helping us? The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam also wanted to focus on the various stages in life that are transient. Transitionary periods. They're not, these phases you'll go through, you'll never stay in the same phase. He said, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. Take care of 5 before 5. And he began by saying, شبابك قبل هرمك. Your youth before old age. Islamically, you're still a child, not child, you're considered a youth from the age of puberty till 40. MashaAllah, some smiles here, some young, yeah, MashaAllah, the thing is that, yeah, until 40 you're still considered a youth. But are we utilizing our time? Because some of us who may be in our 50s and 60s thinking, rightfully so saying, where's the time gone? And some of the youngsters sitting here will also say the same thing in 20 years, where's our youth gone? We don't know. We're running around in the streets of Leicester, feels like yesterday and now. We're old. Where's the time gone? The Messenger is saying, شَبَابَكْ قَبْلَ هَرَمِكْ صِحَّةً قَبْلَ سَقَمِكْ. Your health before sickness. Now you're all healthy, that's why you're here. But what if tomorrow you're tested with something, some illness, and you're in hospital for 6 months, bedbound, and you're saying, I wish I could get out of here and do something productive. But when we are healthy, what are we doing that's productive? Nothing. It's just wasting time, 6 hours on the phone. غِنَاء قَبْلَ فَقْرِكْ. You're riches before you experience poverty. فَرَاغ قَبْلَ شُغْلِكْ. Your free time before you get occupied with something. Again, Allah could occupy you with a trial, something that will preoccupy you. Now it's fine, nothing. Something later, your child again could have a terminal illness or something where you have to keep going in and out of hospital, waiting for the doctor. No, you have to come back next month. Mentally you're thinking, oh Ya Allah, for 6 months, 1 year, your mental state of mind is being tested. But before you had these tests and you had free time, what were we doing? That's why the Messenger finished by saying, وَحَيَاتَكْ قَبْلَ مَوْتِكَ. And your life before your death. These 5, take care of them. Be proactive, productive. Don't waste your time looking for quick hits to make you feel good on social media. It's a distraction. You'll end up like the first group in that marshmallow theory. You want it now. Be like the third group who are working for the akhirah. Another thing that we see on Facebook or social media or Twitter as well, is we become very opinionated. My platform, I can say whatever I want. I don't care, there's no moral framework left anymore. I can swear, I can shout, I can do this, causing divisive discourse. How many fights do we see? Somebody puts up status of, you boys are this, other boys come round, you come into my postcode, I'll fight you. There's fights going on now because of comments on social media. What did the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam say? Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyaqul khayran aw liyasmut. Say something good or stay quiet. Tell me, does this give us the opportunity to stay quiet? It amplifies any situation, any disagreement. Before a person leaves the room, you WhatsApp him, mate, wait till I see you, I'm gonna... And then he's, what did he just say? We don't even have opportunity to cool down anymore. And as a result, we are seeing the negative situations that arise in societies. So the prophetic advice is, live your life in a way that you know you're going to be held accountable. Say something good or remain quiet. Don't go on Facebook and become opinionated, comments, you get involved in fighting, etc. Another thing that we are deprived of, we're about 10 minutes away inshallah from finishing. Jazakumullah khairan for holding on and bearing with me. 10 more minutes away. Another thing that affects us spiritually, Islamically, is the two blessings that we are deprived of anyway. Time and health. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, نِعْمَتَانِ مَغْبُورٌ فِيهِمَا كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ الصِّحَّةُ وَالْفَرَاغُ. Two blessings that they just evade us anyway because we can't be bothered. One is time, where's the time gone? And second is health. We don't look after our health. We don't, and then something happens, oh gosh, I've got crutches now for 6 months. You know, I wish I was healthy, I want to go and do jogging and walking. How does social media affect us? It does. Instagram is full of food, junk food. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Kulu washrabu wa la tusrifu. Yes, eat and drink, but don't be over excessive. Innahu la yuhibbul musrifin. Indeed, I don't like those who are over excessive. Gluttony. Food, just eating. We don't only eat, we showcase it. We promote diabetes. Johnny Kebab, upload, mashallah brother, which restaurant are you at? Pizza, burgers, every other day. We're all guilty of doing it once or twice a year, but we're talking every other day. And we are promoting this type of junk food culture. Whereas on one hand, the NHS said 6% of deaths in this country are obesity related. Obesity related. Blood pressure, cardiovascular, heart attack, all these cholesterol levels. Obesity related, overconsumption of food. And then in Yemen, you have people who are dying because of lack of food. SubhanAllah, look at the equilibrium, look how messed up it is. In one part of the world, people are dying, they're actually craving for food, and as a result they're dying. Here we are also dying. But it's overconsumption of food, and we are promoting this, and we are glamorizing this, and we are all these sweets and all these sugary stuff. We're promoting this, and we're not saying, you know, that's bad for you. We're saying, yeah, let's share this, and we are then a product as a result of this. So now we just come to some of these solutions from an Islamic perspective. The first thing we need to do is we need to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when it comes to the lack of time that we have been giving to our families, ourselves. When it comes to an akhirah perspective, how much time have we invested now that we know that we've been created to be jacked into a system and it's affecting our lives emotionally, spiritually, psychologically? Let's turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's say, Ya Allah, enough is enough. You know, I want to live. I mean, I don't know about you guys, you know, mid-30s, I grew up in the 90s. We didn't have this. We loved going on the streets, kicking the football around, running around, subhanAllah. We loved coming home and there was only, what, 3 or 4 5 channels, TV, that's it. If there's anything to vegetate you and zombie, there was only 4 or 5 channels, that's it. We used to feel great. No problem, we didn't bring any emails home with us, no problem. We felt great. Now, everybody can't switch off. So switch off, and it's almost as though you're going back into the 90s, enjoying your life. You don't need to hear about people's problems, because people's problems will also impact you psychologically. You just want to enjoy the here and the now. So reconnect to Allah, and look at the bigger picture. What am I doing here in life? Where am I going in life? How does this help me to get my goals and my milestones and my key performance indicators in terms of living this type of life that will give me eternal success from an Islamic perspective? We've turned from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes we do things where we mention Allah and we don't have that secrecy element. Even our dua, subhanAllah, Allah mentions the best dua is when you do it in secret, you ask for Allah. We put our duas on Facebook on red banners. Oh Allah, help me pass the exam. And we're waiting for everybody to say Ameen, 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 Ameen. I like that interaction. You ask Allah. But we want the dopamine rush. And so we want everybody to say Ameen, Ameen, and we feel better about ourselves. Our Lord is saying, وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمُ ادْعُونِي يَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. Our Lord is saying, call upon me, I will answer your du'as. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. When my slave asks you concerning me, say, I am close to you with my knowledge. I know exactly what's happening to you in your lives. Ask me and I will sort your affairs out. We don't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we want to ask everybody else to feel valued. To feel, don't worry brother, it'll be fine. It's like we get a metaphorical hug. Well, ask Allah then. Ask if we mean, we conflate the issue. We turn to people, we turn to the creation, we don't turn to the creator. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because what happens is, and this is the reality, people get fed up. Eventually people get fed up. Because when we start posting things, it's been 1 year since this, 1 year, what's happening is people are imposing their emotions onto other people. They're having a great day, they look at something and it's like, oh my God, and you feel sad as well. And then after a bit you say, I can't take this anymore. It's messing my day up as well. People learn to get on. Look what happened in Syria. Look what happened with the Rohingya. All the mothers, the fathers who saw atrocities. They had no Wi-Fi connection. We had mothers who had to bury their children, their husbands, who had been killed, mutilated in front of them. They buried them and they went home to an empty house. They didn't want any, it's been 1 year since this, 6 months, and people saying, don't worry. They had nothing. But they had Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was Allah who enabled them to go through, because when we go to these places, we speak to them, they say we turn to Allah is who gave us the patience, who gave us the resilience. But we look for that from people. We want that, turn to Allah, He will make you feel better. He will give you strength in faith. Like these people across the world who don't have this Wi-Fi, they don't have a Facebook following. They don't show you their problems, they deal with their problems and they turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to rely on Allah. Now we come into the solutions and then we'll finish inshallah. Solutions is obviously first spiritually turn to Allah, and then practically from a technological perspective, first is you have to police yourselves. Set certain safety measures and boundaries that will make it difficult for you. So for example, what I do is on my phone, I don't have the Facebook app. I have what's called a Pages Manager app for Ar-Rahmah Trust. So even if I have to go to my account, I have to go through that, and then I eventually land on the landing page, which looks like something from 1990s. It's not the new, it's not what you have on your phones. So you have to police and trick your brain that disable the app, so you're not always on it. And if you have to go on it, you go the long way around. You're policing yourself, you're training yourself, because your body is waiting for that dopamine, it's hooked. But you are slowly creating other ways that your body is going to get fed up. Or just to go on Facebook, you have to go on this, and then this, and then this, and then there, as opposed to just going on it now by pressing this one app. So disable your apps and install certain social media usage apps such as Off Time, Break Free, Moment. These are apps that regulate how much time you choose to go on. So I would say about half an hour, 1 hour a day is healthy. If you just want to keep in touch with people, half an hour in the morning, and then half an hour at 7 in the evening when you've done work, you're about to unwind, you just quickly have a quick look, and that's it. You don't go back to it till next morning. So you program this into the app, and after 1 hour, even if you try going on it, your phone will switch off and it will shut down when it comes to your apps, social media apps. Some of the new phones, they don't even have these apps built in. They have the softwares built in. These new iPhones, they say to you, how long do you want to go on iPhone, Facebook for? And even the setting, you say 2 hours a day. Bang. You put the pin in, and then you put a pin in that you forget the pin. That's the best way to do this, because your body is going to have withdrawal symptoms. There's a term called phantom vibration syndrome, guys. Phantom vibration, you can Google this up, where you think that the phone has rung. You get withdrawal, you check it, there's nothing wrong. And the science behind this is, you're getting thoughts in your brain, maybe somebody's liked, commented, shared, and this releases cortisol. Cortisol is a stress chemical, gives you anxieties. So you want to keep checking your phone. And the way to get rid of that cortisol, your objective then becomes what? To check in. You have to check in, check it. And then it goes down, and 10 minutes later, another thought comes into your brain, cortisol level goes up, and then to get rid of the cortisol, the stress hormone, you have to check your phone. They've got us hooked. You've got to give it to these designers. They're just sitting around making money. And the best thing is, Zuckerberg, his family, he doesn't go on Facebook that much. Steve Jobs, when he created Apple, they don't go on these things because they know they can hook us in. So you turn off the distractions, spend time, wallahi, with your family. وَإِنَّ لِأَهْلِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا. The messenger said your family has rights over you. If the mothers, sisters are on the phones, give your husbands, brothers some time. The brothers on the phones, give your family some time. Wallahi, I don't know about you, it's the same here in Birmingham. We live in concrete jungles. Concrete jungles. Leave these and go up to the Yorkshire Dales or the Peak District or something. Go spend time in the rural areas. Keep your phones and your gadgets in your car. Go out and enjoy nature. Enjoy what Allah has created, the jibal, the mountains. Watch how you feel. That was why the Anbiya, they would be shepherds, because they wanted to get away from the helter-skelter of city life, the urban life. Go out and you'll feel refreshed and charged. But go as a family. Go as a family, picnic. Go outside, enjoy it. Hear the birds, hear the streams, see the grass. You'll feel better. That's what we need to do. And also finally, reconnect with the real friends. Not just cyber friends. These Facebook friends are not real friends. You don't know, they just sent you a request. You made a request. They start liking your posts, you start liking their posts and start commenting. You've never met them. And when you do meet them for the first time, they're not what they portray themselves on social media. Let me give you an example. I've come across people who are very opinionated on Facebook. When they speak, they're very loud. Very loud. Right about this, that. So if I'm doing a khutbah, for example, and I'm traveling up that city up north or wherever, I'll say, brother, I'm in the area, fancy catching up for some coffee or tea. And you meet the person, and he doesn't say anything. He's on social media as a keyboard warrior, but when you want to speak, brother, how's your day going? And he's like, it's fine. Ajib. You want your real friends, who you grew up with, who saw you get taken out of Mrs. Smith's class when you had detention. You can sit back and laugh about those things. When you fell, you tripped. Remember those things? You sit together. That will release natural endorphins, proper. And you give them time. When you go to the restaurant, put these phones away. Don't look at the phones. What people do, they put phones into a basket and they give each other time. The first person to go for the phone, has to pay for the whole bill. That's what we need to do. Because wallahi, I've sat with practicing people, non-practicing people, du'at, people. It's against akhlaq, manners. When you are trying to engage with somebody and they're like, yeah, brother, yeah, I know what you mean, yeah, I know what you're saying. Just put it down and look at the person. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was talking to people, he would turn his body full. So when he was standing 2 or 3 people, he's talking to him, somebody called him, wouldn't do this. He would turn his body full, give them the full body language, look at them, speak to them, gestures and speak to them. We're immersed in our phones and we're like, no, put them away, spend quality time with your friends. And the final slide is again about the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us. Neuroplasticity is a way that your existing neural pathways, they can be rewired. So it's not all doom and gloom. It'll take you 4 to 6 weeks. If you're hooked, you have to be very stern, resilient in the first 6 weeks. But when you start building up new pathways by doing certain things which give you pleasure, for example, you go to the gym, you start swimming. Gym naturally releases endorphins, you feel good. They say this is the equivalent, the natural endorphins that you release is equivalent to a person who's on cocaine. No person who chases a high, they take cocaine and they feel euphoric, they feel in a buzz for 2 hours, 3 hours, and they come crashing down. Then they want it again and again. They live their life chasing. You can get this free. Go on the treadmill, go on the bike, run, you feel good. So you start doing things that replace those existing pathways. Because remember, going on social media made you feel good temporarily, made you feel good. You replace that by doing something else. Come to the salah in the morning, fajr, read Quran, do those things which make you feel good, reward. And inshallah, over time, new pathways will be created and your body will get used to it. That's what it is. So we conclude now by saying that I've taken you on a journey in terms of the problem that's out there, and we witness this on a daily basis. Psychologically, what's happening to us? Psychologically, emotionally, what's happening to us? And from a productivity level, what's happening to us? Don't ever believe anybody who says they are productive when they are always on Facebook and they are responding, liking, sharing multiple platforms. How can they be productive? How can you have that time to engage with people and say that you are great at what you're doing? It's false. And we've given you Islamic solutions, Islamic importance of the reality of life. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. We've only been created for a purpose, and that is to worship Allah. And then I've given you some practical solutions. I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enables us to understand now everything that's been taking place so we can please ourselves. Any questions? I can take any questions when it comes to this talk. 5 minutes for questions. If not, inshallah we will conclude. Any questions?